everyone, it's Andrea, and welcome to this edition of Talks in the Car. Today, I want to share a story with you that I hope will encourage you, will give you some nuggets to think on. And as you go through your journey and as you make the different choices in your life, it will be something that you can pull upon and perhaps apply to your own life. So this experience happened to me some years ago. I believe my son was probably in his junior or senior year in high school, and earlier in the day, I had come home to a situation that was very, very hurtful to me, something I was not expecting, and I was very hurt. And the reason why the situation hurt me was because I had been through it before. I had seen it before, it had happened before, and I, at that time, had chosen to forgive it. I had chosen to overlook it. I had chosen to say, you know what, let me just move forward, and we'll move forward in the path that we were taking. So for the situation to happen again was almost more hurtful than it was the first time, because I had made those allowances the first time. I had made those, I had forgiven the first time. So for it to happen again was something that really, really broke me down. And so later on, after, some of that dust had settled, I was in my room and I was crying. Like I said, I was very hurt. And my son came to my bedroom door and he knocks and, let him in. And he says, Mom, what's going on? And I said, nothing's wrong, son. Everything's okay. I'll be fine. He says, okay. And he leaves. And then maybe about 15 minutes later, he comes back and he asked me the same question. Mom, what's wrong? What's going on? And I said, you know what, son, don't worry about it. I'm going to be fine. It's all good. He leaves again. Now, I, in jest, call my son the boy. So I like the boy this, the boy that. And, it's been an ongoing, term of endearment between the two of us. And so he comes back the third time. And he says, Mom, what is going on? Why are you upset? And I repeat what I said. Look, I'm fine. It's going to be okay. Everything's good. And his response this time to me was, so this is what we do now? We lie to the boy? I was like, oh, wow. And I was a little bit taken back by his response. And so with that being said, I went ahead and explained to him what happened and what had taken place. And, I'm sitting on my bed and, the tears are still falling. And, as I'm sharing what had taken place. And he says to me, okay, Mom, let's talk about this. And there's a chair. He sat down in the chair in my room. And let me put a pin there for a minute. Sometimes when we go through things as parents, we do our best to shield our children from situations. And so we should, especially when they're younger. But as children get older, they are oftentimes stronger than we think. They understand sometimes more than we realize. And so while we want to shield our children from, things that we don't think that they should have to walk through, we also have to sometimes realize that they see, they know, they have a level of understanding, and sometimes shielding things is not always the best avenue to take. Sometimes we need to be transparent with our children. Sometimes we need to say, look, this is what it is. We may not get into the nitty-gritty and the meat and the potatoes of what happened, but to be able to be honest with our children and say, look, this is what happened. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're walking through. Because sometimes the information that we give them is better than them having to create a scenario on their own. So that's a little extra nugget. But as my son sat down, he was talking to me. He said this to me. He said, Mom, you have tried. You have done the best that you can. I have seen you work through this situation. I've seen you go through this before. I saw what happened then. You have done the best that you can to hold on to this situation. Mom, it's time to walk away. It's time to let it go. And I was like, wow. I mean, I had like a wow moment. It was a moment that literally changed my life. And here I was in my late 40s, early 50s, having this conversation with a 16, 17-year-old young man who's saying to me, his mom, you've done the best that you can. Mom, I've seen you work hard to hold all this together, and obviously it's not important to them. Let it go. You can do better without this situation in our atmosphere, in our circle. Let it go. And went on to say that at some point you will have and you will get what you deserve. Life changing. And over the years, I have thought about that scenario and I have thought about that conversation because, again, it literally changed my life. Because there are times when we try to hold on to situations. We try to hold on to jobs. We try to hold on to relationships. We try to hold on to different things that we really should simply let go. Holding on to things is not helping us. It's not fortifying us. In fact, it is breaking us down. It is hurting us. It is bringing us to a place where we are not who God has called us to be because we are frail and we are hurting. And so I want to encourage you that if there is something in your life, whether or not it's a job, whether or not it's where you reside at, whether or not it's a family member, whether or not it's an intimate relationship, if you need to walk away, if you need to shut it down, if you need to close the door, close the window, close the book, whatever that looks like for you, in order for you to be a better you, in order for you to heal, in order for you to come to a place where you can now grow instead of being broken down, it is time to do that. It's time to let it go. It's time to walk away. It's time to say that you deserve better. You deserve what God has for you. You deserve to be in a place that lets you be all that God is calling you to be. And if someone or something is not allowing you to be all that God desires you to be, if someone or something has taken you to a place where you're outside of your character, where you're always crying, where you're depressed, where you're angry, where you're anxious, where you're stressful, all of those things, if someone or something has you in that place, it is time to walk away. Let it go. Close the door. Close the window. Because you know what? At the end of the day, when we make those choices to walk away from situations and circumstances, God will heal you and put better things in its place. I am at a much better place now. Here we are almost 10 years later, in a much better place because I've had time to heal. I've had time to grow. I've had time to reflect. I've had time for God to come in and do some changing with my heart and my mind. And so I'm at a much better place because I chose to let go of something, watch this, something I chose to hold on to. Sometimes we choose to hold on to things. Sometimes it's not even about something was placed on us or something was given to us. Sometimes we choose to pick up things and hold on to things that were not authorized. God did not authorize for us to have those things, or maybe God did at one point, and then because of the choices of other people, now it's time to let it go. Now it's time to walk away. Now the door is closed because that season is over, but we choose to hold on to it. That particular situation was a choice that I chose to hold on to and to grip it tight because I didn't want to let it go. And because of my choice, now I had to deal with other circumstances. A choice that God did not have for me, but because of my own choices, something else occurred. So I encourage you, let go. If the season is over, let it go. If the time is over, close the door. If it's time to walk away from the job, if it's time to walk away from that person, if it's time to walk away from whatever that circumstances is that is holding you down, that is breaking you down, that is causing you not to be where you need to be in God, shut it down and let God do something miraculous in your life. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time on Talks in the Car.